Bravo! Hi, Lev. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to switch my...
Okay, you're going to switch your mic. Great. So let's welcome Lev Zhurbin.
Zhurbin.
Zhurbin. Lev
Right.
is a
How are you?
multi-talented musician. He plays the viola, and this instrument is called what?
I call it a fadolin. I guess I should tell you
Fadolin.
what is a fadolin, right?
Yeah,
What is a
mandolin.
fadolin? It's
Fadolin.
not quite like not a mandolin, right? So a fadolin is it's a scientifically derived, I'd like to think, name for an instrument. It is a violin with spare strings or a completely new instrument of its own, but I call it a fadolin because it's a violin with fa and a do, so it's a fa, do, violin. But to be honest, it's its own beast and its own repertoire. It doesn't sound like a violin, doesn't sound like a viola, doesn't sound like a cello, even though it has the range of all three of them, except maybe the last 5 semitones of the cello. Right?
So you have 5 strings?
6.
You have 6 strings. So the lowest string is fa.
The low string is a fa, that's right.
And then you have fa, and then the next is C. It's like
C.
the viola.
Then the rest of it is like the viola, and then an E string like on the fiddle.
Oh, wow. Cool. Yeah, that's very cool.
Fun.
So it is American made?
This one was made by Nathaniel Rowan in Vermont. I got it about a month before everything got shut down. So it's a brand new.
Oh, so it's still a new toy.
New
Wow.
toy. Yeah, I'm trying to play it out.
Yeah. So you can. So what is good about it? You can play the viola, you can play the violin, and you can kind of play what else? Not as low as cello though.
Well, it goes to the F, which is the F that is right above the C where the cello ends, right, bottoms out. So it's almost like a cello, and it gives me great flexibility to try all sorts of things, to play things in the higher range, to play things in the viola range, to play things that are for me it started as an accompanying instrument. I wanted to play, so my wife Ina is a wonderful vocalist, and we try to play shows together sometimes, and I'm not really a pianist, and so I play the viola, which has a range, but I wanted to see if I could expand the range to have lower notes, to have higher notes, and so it kind of started from that, So in this sense, the F on the bottom of the fadolin, it's almost as low as the guitar, right? The guitar goes to an E, and I could potentially drop this down to an E and have the same range as the guitar.
Yeah.
So for me, it started off as a way of accompanying my wife, and then I also use it in a band situation with my band. There were a few years where I played fadolin and looper shows and recorded an album called Solo Opus of music that was 3 of the tracks are fadolin and loopers. Yeah. And so now for the past since January 2019, I've been trying to develop repertoire, like concert repertoire or etude repertoire for the fadolin, because I want other people to play it, and I want other composers to write for it, and I want there to be a repertoire for this instrument. There are a few of these kind of instruments, like the heckelphone, right? The heckelphone is kind of like somewhere between the English horn and a bassoon, I guess, right? And it's this incredible instrument that's used in Strauss operas and in Holst planets, and there's a wonderful sonata by Hindemith for it, but there's one guy in New York who plays heckelphone, and it's the most beautiful instrument. And so I'm hoping that by writing more music for the fadolin and playing it everywhere in the open, not as like some curiosity, but it's like this is mostly what I play these days is fadolin. Yes, I went to Juilliard for viola, and I still have my wonderful violas, and I play it ever so often. But I'm trying to create a space for this instrument
Yeah.
You know, and kind of a new music for it and a new vibe around it. That's, you
Yeah.
know, there is no classical repertoire for the fadolin, right? Yes, you
Yeah.
can play Bach on it, sure.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
play all the fiddle music on it. You could play all the viola music on it. You could play
Right.
most of the cello music, ish.
Yeah.
But you know, but in a way, like starting out without, I don't want to say the handicap, but without the handicap of
Yeah.
having, you know, 300 years of music for it,
Yeah.
is actually really nice.
How long is the body, the instrument?
This particular instrument is violin sized, so
Oh.
it fits in a violin case.
Okay. Cool.
Eric Acito, who is kind of the, you could probably say the founding father of the fadolin world,
Yeah.
wonderful maker in Ithaca. I have two of his instruments. One is one of them is violin sized, and one of them is kind of the body of a small viola.
Yeah.
And lately he's been making instruments that are even larger,
Yeah.
that are kind of, you know, that are kind of somewhere between a viola and a violoncello da spalla.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know, we're all kind of experimenting with the size situation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it small so I can.
Does this
Get it on the
instrument
plate.
you need to amplify when you play?
Well, it could. It doesn't
Oh.
have to. You
You
know,
don't
I have,
need to. Okay.
You don't need to. I mean, this is, you know, it has the, I'm guessing, similar volume or.
What you just
like a
did,
normal
was it
violin.
amplified not? What you just did?
No, it wasn't amplified. I mean, it's not plugged into anything. There's a
Okay.
microphone here,
Cool.
right? So I'm just
Cool.
playing it acoustically.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
part of what I'm
Okay.
trying to do. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's part of actually, it's nice to if you to mention this, because there are electric instruments, right? That there are
Yeah,
5
I
strings
do.
and 6 strings and
I
7
play
strings.
on electric
I know.
bridge.
I've
Yeah.
seen you play. And so there are electric instruments,
Yeah.
you know, for 5-string and 6-string and 7-string violins.
Yeah.
And, you know, but
You need to
this is kind of
schlep
an
a
attempt to
speaker.
write acoustic. Yeah, I went through that. I have here's a 50-pound suitcase of looper gear that I used to schlep around. And I love that music, you know, but I also like, okay, what can I do without looper gear? What if I'm on an island that there's no electricity?
Yes.
You know, there's no sound system. And because for years, you know, I would show up to places like, oh, you play fiddle. What kind of music do you play? I don't know. All sorts. Here, let me play you something. And I wouldn't have anything. You know? And so I'm trying to grow that repertoire where you know, I can give an elevator speech of music that I play.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. Should I read a little bit of your bio? You know.
If you ask me, probably not.
We have I have Lev's biography in the description of this channel, and let me read you just a little bit about who Lev is. We, you know, people who are here right now, probably it's our friends. We know how to say your first name, stage name, Jova.
Yeah, so the J is like a Y, and so it's the Russian diminutive of my formal name, which is Lev, and it's pronounced the LJOVA is pronounced LJOVA.
LJOVA.
The J in Eastern European languages and in German is like a yot, like a Y. So it's like
yeah. So Lev Zhurbin. Do it again.
Zhurbin,
like Zhurbin Mehta, right? Lev Zhurbin was born in Moscow, Russia. And then he moved to New York with his parents. His father is a composer, Alexander Zhurbin, and mom is the writer, Irena Ginzburg, right? Ginzburg, yeah. They moved. So you moved to New York in 1990, in the United States, 1990. So so Lev divides his time between composing for the concert stage, contemporary dance and film, leading his own ensemble, as well as a busy career as a freelance violist, violinist, and musical arranger. And he is a father of 2 young children.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot of work. So Lev has done a lot of great projects, such as commission from the City of London Sinfonia, the Louisville Orchestra, the new work for Yo-Yo Ma, the only Yo-Yo Ma, and the Silk Road Ensemble, a string quartet for Brooklyn Rider, a clarinet quintet for Art of Élan,
Elan.
and Élan, and works for the Knights. And the next word I don't know how to pronounce. Sybari.
Sybarite 5, yeah.
Samurai 5. Thank you. Sounds like a sci-fi film. And a Far Cry.
Sure they were going for that.
Yeah, as well. Arrangements for Los Angeles Philharmonic, San Francisco Symphony, Detroit Symphony. It goes on and on and on and on and on. Thank you. So you have done so much. And and tell us a little bit about, I want to know a little bit more about your early childhood in Russia, please.
Sure. Well, as the joke goes, I was born at a very early age, right? So I yeah, not my joke, but I was born in Moscow. My father is a composer. My mom is a writer. So grew up in a musical family. Everyone on my mother's side is involved with writing books and poetry, and everyone. My father is a composer. His brother is Yuri Gandelsman, who was the principal violist of Israel Philharmonic for, I believe, 10 years, and violist of the Fine Arts Quartet for 10 years, and principal violist of the Moscow Virtuosi for probably about 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. This makes him like 90 years old, but he's really a young guy. No. He's quite young, but I believe So he's been a long-time violist of many wonderful groups, and all of his kids, both of his kids are musicians. His daughter Natasha is a violinist. My cousin Johnny is of course Johnny Gandelsman, violinist of Brooklyn Rider. So I grew up in a musical family, and I started the violin when I was 4, and I kind of had a mostly dislike kind of relationship with it until I was maybe 11. And then I switched to viola when I was about 11 or 12 when we moved to the States. And that was a transformative moment for me, because I was no longer one of the, 50 plus violinists in the orchestra.
Yeah.
But I was all of a sudden one of maybe 12 violists. Mm-hmm. And I was all of a sudden very needed, right? There was a need for violists who can, play in tune, and in orchestra, in youth orchestra, and that very summer that I switched to viola, all of a sudden I was playing chamber music with people, and that was very transformative. And I liked the sound. I loved the music, and I loved my teacher at Manhattan School of Music pre-college, Karen Richer. I also had a year where I studied with Emmanuel Vardy. So it was better for me to switch to viola, and I had more kind of free time to study scores and write my own music, than trying to learn Sarasate and Wieniawski and whatever else.
So. Yeah. Speaking of violists, I think when we first met, you and I think we were stand partner in a pickup orchestra.
Yeah.
Conducted by Ramin. Yeah, Ramin's Barbette Orchestra, right?
That's right.
It was like either 1999 or 2000, something like that. Yeah.
It's possible. I don't remember the exact dates, but
yeah,
I used to freelance a lot with New York orchestras, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I met you there, and then later on, I just see your career just gradually taking off, and so now. So how did this composing career started?
I don't know. I think I don't. I was always writing music since I was a kid. I would, when I was a kid, I would sit in the back of the car with my parents' car and make things up. After I saw the movie E.T., which was one of the few things we had on VHS back in the late 80s. I fell in love with the movie, and I tried to write my own alternative score to it when I was probably 9 or 10. I started improvising at the piano when I was around that time, and tried to write things down. Fall in love and write a piece for someone when I was a kid, a lot. Kind of serial romantic composer. So I just kept going with that. And I would write pieces for musicians I would meet. By the time I got to Juilliard, I think in my junior or senior year, I did a concert of all pieces that I wrote for either friends that I met at Juilliard or friends that I met around the time that I was at Juilliard. And I just kept going with that, And I was trying to find my way in kind of the modern classical composer world. And I don't know, like I didn't have formal training, and it always kind of felt like a little bit of a handicap. At the same time, I started hanging out with, well, not hanging out, but I started writing music for student films. I started putting up flyers. Someone said, "Oh, you should write film music. It's, you write tonal music. Good. You should go write film music because they need tonal music in that." So I would, when I was a student at Juilliard, I would put up flyers at NYU and at Columbia, and I believe also at School of Visual Arts. And I would say, "Can film compose? Will compose music for your film for free if it need be." And it was a lot. I gained a lot of experience that way, working with student filmmakers and figuring how to use the one piece of outboard synthesizer gear that I had. And also using my viola as an instrument that became an orchestra. So my first album, which came out in 2006, I believe, or 7, was essentially all music that I made for filmmakers as demos, and it's all multi-track viola music. Because my budgets, I think my highest budget for my first films was like $100, and I think, or no, my first budget was like $10. The next one was $100. The next one I had, for some reason, I had like 3 hours of free studio time. No, 1 hour of free studio time at a studio because something didn't work out. I don't remember now, but somehow I had 1 hour of free studio time, and so we were able to record a piano quintet score of mine and so forth. So I kept working with student filmmakers and expanding the range of the viola, because my alternative was to use the Korg Triton rack, which I had, or I could use the viola. And so I would always use the viola for melodies, for harmonies. I would pitch shift it down an octave to create a bass line, and it became a sound. And eventually that became an album. And then eventually that album became an album of music that people wanted to play. But there was no music that I wrote down because I improvised all of it. And so people would, Brooklyn Writer would say, "Hey, do you have an arrangement for Plume?" And I didn't, right? And I didn't even have anything written out. I had like a little scratch of it in my sketchbook, and then I recorded it off of that. And so, when they requested it, I wrote out an arrangement for Plume, for Ori's Fearful Symmetry, for Bagel on the Malacone, for Budget Bulgar, and all these things that became the viola suite. And and then through the back door of kind of composing for film and making these viola pieces, all of a sudden I started getting commissions for writing chamber music, right? And it kind of became that way. So with no formal composition training, but nonetheless, I had many years of orchestra experience, right? And so I knew what scores are supposed to look like because I used to study scores every time. I went to LaGuardia High School when I was a kid, and it was across the street from the Performing Arts Library. And so I would, after school, I would go to the Performing Arts Library and study scores. Not hardcore study scores, but look through scores, listen to pieces with score. If you see here in the back, this is a whole library of scores that is kind of, half of it is like my dad's collection, and half of that is all the way from back from Russia, and half of it is things that I bought. And so we would go through scores. And
do you have anything? Do you have anything on YouTube that you want me to play? What you just mentioned.
What would you like to play?
I don't know. just make sure we do not play things that's gonna cost me having a copyright claim.
The thing is, I think all of that
I,
stuff is kind of
I hate that.
watermarked
Oh, yeah.
because all of it is licensed through. I think most of my stuff that's on YouTube is through CD Baby. But
CD Baby, yeah.
so
They
they would claim it, right? Because
Yeah,
even
they
though it's
will.
just me, right?
Yeah, I know. CD
They
Baby
will
claimed
claim it,
it.
you know.
Yeah, they will. They will. Yeah.
You could play the Tiny Desk concert for, or maybe NPR will then claim it. I don't know. There is something up there on YouTube that I call Midnight Suite that maybe you can find. That's a
Midnight Suite. Hold on.
nice piece for Fadolin that you could play.
Oh, okay. I mean,
You see it there?
I'll look for it right now because
Alright, I can send you a link to it.
yeah, you can send me a link or
Alright.
I had it here earlier. Wait, I have a whole playlist I built for you,
Oh, did you?
but in the other hand, I can't
There is a
find it.
whole playlist I'm sending you now
Oh, okay.
that is all the stuff that I've done since March.
You're sending me through.
What is this thing called? StreamYard.
Oh, you are. Okay.
I just sent it to you there.
Okay.
I can also send it to
Okay,
you.
I see it. I see it. The
another
private
way.
thingy. Okay, I'll open that. So, yeah,
You can
and
pick anything from here. I'm guessing that's not watermarked. None of this.
oh, okay, watermarked.
I guess.
Yeah, I try to avoid stuff because I have a lot of videos on YouTube and oh, never mind. Sorry, hold on. Hold on. I have a lot of videos on YouTube, and they ask me. They say I have copyright claim. Oh, no result found. Sorry. Maybe it's too long.
Okay.
No result found. Okay,
Just search for. I mean,
hold on. Love. Okay, I had it earlier. Okay, so I see you have someone made a mix for you. Someone made a mix for you.
okay.
And how about how is this signal strength
Oh yeah.
that project?
Sure. So
Can we play that?
You could. Do you want me to talk about it first?
Yeah, talk about first. Let me.
Okay. So, Signal Strength was a concept created by the film director Chris Shimojima, wonderful New York-based independent filmmaker,
Yeah.
who wanted to do a project kind of dedicated to musicians of the subway and of the street, and so him and his producer Anita Anthony went around New York City's platforms and subway platforms and on the street as well to try to find musicians who would be interested in playing together over the newly built Wi-Fi network. And Chris commissioned me to write a piece of music that could be played all together, and it's a kind of a wildly eclectic collection of instruments, including theremin and musical saw and accordion and drums. So I hope you'll enjoy it. It's a small little thing.
Yeah, okay. Here we go. Let's see. Can you see?
Thank you.
I love this. Let me turn it off so it doesn't go to the next track. Now, tell me how many videographers you have there.
I don't remember, but we had 11 musicians on 9 subway platforms, and I believe each subway platform had one sound tech, one videographer, and one PA, like an assistant.
That's quite
I
a
believe so. That's
production.
quite a lot of people. Yeah, and we filmed that all in one morning. We all met at Bryant Park, I believe, at 7:30 in the morning, and by 11, I think we were all done. We would meet like 50 people. Right?
Oh my God! Wow, did you find somebody that day, or like through many?
I just wrote the music. I just wrote the music and recorded. Kind of edited it all together.
Yeah, no, but these musicians, did you just grab whoever you can grab, or it was like many days of looking for them?
A few of them I helped find, but most of them were found by the director and producer, by Chris and Anita.
Oh, okay, yeah. So this thing is it's only 3 some minute. So what's the producer like? What is their intention? Like it's a nice piece. Like, do they have a longer version? Do they have a documentary? Do they have something out of
Well,
this whole thing?
this was just this. To be honest, this was just to try and to see. Chris was building. Chris is very passionate about projects and music and people in New York City, and he was trying to try this concept to see if it would work. It was, I believe, our first or second time working together. He recently completed his first feature film called Alberto and the Concrete Jungle, which I scored, and we just finished up the score, and we just had like a screening for the cast and crew a month, not even a month before everything got shut down. I think like in the very early beginning of March. We had like a screening for everybody, and then everything got kind of sidelined, right? Postponed, right? Things are a little different. So there are no film festivals, there are no movie theaters, and so we're trying to figure out what the next step with the film is. But certainly you can look for I think chrisshimojima.com, and then you could look for Alberto and the Concrete Jungle, and sign up for the mailing list and find out what the next step is. Or you could sign up for my mailing list and I will tell you. But it was a very delicious soundtrack to score. It's going to be a film. Very interesting, kind of New York, gritty, independent film. So.
Yeah, it's really great. Now let's see. I think, I don't know. I hope this doesn't have a copyright thing. Oh, I love this thing. Tell me a little bit about this SPARK. Spark.
Oh, Spark. Sure. Well, they, so they are a folk.
Sorry.
I don't know.
Sorry. I need to
we
turn
should
this off.
video record you from this angle.
Okay, never mind. Yes. Sorry.
So Spark is a kind of a new music group from where is it from? I want to say from Karlsruhe in Germany.
Oh.
And, they are two recorders, viola, cello, and piano. And they've been champions of a number of my works, and I've written a couple of works especially for them, but they've recorded a couple of pieces for their folk tunes album, and then another one for their I forget the name of their first album. They recorded something called Tango Heavy. I don't know what you're looking at. I think you're probably looking at the Tango Heavy live from a church in Germany or something like that, right?
It's sounding very folky.
Is that Budget Bulgar then?
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
Yeah.
So Budget Bulgar was a piece that I improvised so Bulgar is a kind of a Jewish klezmer dance. So
I see.
Kind of a pattern for a dance.
Yeah.
And I improvised this in the parking lot of some New Jersey catering hall at a wedding gig 15 plus years ago.
Oh my God.
Years ago, probably.
Oh my God.
And this one is dedicated to Pete Sokolow, who is a legend in the New York klezmer world. And it's just a little lead sheet that people love to play. There's a string quartet version of it for Brooklyn Rider. There are all sorts of mixed ensembles that have played it. The Knights have played it. Dakota has played it, and with toy piano.
I have a question.
Yes.
How can they memorize the whole thing?
Oh, these guys! Well, you can memorize anything. You could
Really?
memorize, a
Really?
concert. Yeah, of course.
God,
It's not that impossible.
really? But all these notes, they're not like sort of traditional, notation. There has a lot of a twist in it.
Well,
So
that's
there's
nice.
such a good ensemble. I mean, the violinists and the clarinets, they were just like so in sync. So
Yeah.
I noticed these kind of things, So can we
Yeah.
play it?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. So. Okay, here we go. Whoops. Uh-oh. Woo! Sorry, the internet is slow. Woo! Hee-haw! Wonderful. That's fun.
Thank you.
That's fun.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah. There's also a version. If you go on YouTube, there's another version of it. I'm pretty sure it's copyright free.
Oh.
With the wonderful dancer Little Buck, his I believe his cousin Ron Miles and Brooklyn Ryder playing in a string quartet version live from Le Poisson Rouge. That's also really fun because it's this piece with incredible dancers doing some really fun things.
Right, right. So you want to play for us something live? We've been playing your videos. You can get ready. I can do a little talk when you get ready. So you're gonna do on the fado wait, how do you say? Fadoline. Yeah. Is it synthetic material or real wood?
It's wood.
Oh, okay.
It's absolutely
So do you have to order special strings? Like, where do you get fast strings?
So the fiddle range strings are violin strings. The viola string is like a small student viola string, or a small viola string. It's a dominant, I believe. The F string. Who makes it now? There's a couple of people that make it. Super Sensitive makes it now, and I believe Vision. Yeah, that's right. The Tomastic Vision make an F string for violin. So you know. Maybe I'll play something short.
Sure.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Counterpoint. You could do a lot of counterpoint on 6 strings.
Kind of, right? I mean, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of things you can do. So that is one of my caprices for fadolin. Something I started writing last probably about a year or so, a little more than a year ago.
Yeah.
To try to expand the repertoire for the instrument, for acoustic repertoire for the instrument that really takes advantage of the full range. That one, and is it something people said you should start a Patreon for something? So I thought, what can I do a Patreon for? I know, I'll write repertoire for the fadolin. And so I started a Patreon expressly with the idea of writing pieces for the fadolin and for promoting the instrument and for expanding the literature for it. And so that's been kind of the mission of my Patreon for the past few months, since it began last January.
And your platform is on where? The Patreon?
The Patreon is on Patreon. Yeah. It's at patreon.com/LJOVA.
Oh, so it doesn't need to be, say, people get a Patreon for I don't know, for YouTube or for whatever. So Patreon is it's like, how do people find you?
I mean, you can search for LJOVA and Patreon, or you can go to patreon.com/LJOVA.
Oh, I see. I don't really know well enough about Patreon. I thought I see people do Patreon on YouTube. It's like someone has a huge.
I support a bunch of YouTubers who.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much you make from people watching your video.
I don't make anything.
Not you personally, but I mean YouTubers, right? People who, let's say, they have 1 million views. I don't know if that translates to $1 million. I'm guessing not, right? So, but Patreon is a place where you can give meaningful support to someone for projects that they do. Some are videos, some are new music. Some people make lessons for ukulele. I don't know, all sorts of like online tutorials.
Yeah.
All sorts of things that people can do. So
I see.
It's a nice place to support, and it's not meant to be gigantic support. You're not meant. You're not. No one's asking you to dig deep, but to like dig very shallow and find some. Well, as much as you want to give, that without going bankrupt, or as much as you feel comfortable giving.
Yeah.
And support artists in a small way. Because let's face it. If you play a track on Spotify, an artist will make 0.0002 cents or something like that. So in order for them to buy a cup of coffee or to buy a pencil to write that next piece, it takes a lot of streams to make that happen.
Do you have any experience on YouTube? Are you monetized?
I am not monetized. I do not have any experience with YouTube. I have not. I have a couple of friends who are YouTubers, and they're like, you should get into this. You should make videos. And in fact, my son Benji, our son Benji, who is 11, he wants me to become like the kids are very YouTube savvy, and they said, you should do it, Dad. Here's what you do. You just need to react to things, or you could do something useful or whatever. And people have been trying to convince me to become a YouTube star, and I'm like, you know what? The problem with that is that it takes me away from writing music and from playing, and that's really what I love doing. I don't particularly love editing video.
I see.
I like to exist in real time if possible. And composition is already not exactly a real time kind of medium,
right?
But I'm okay with it because there are certain musical ideas that take time to develop, and it's okay to take the time to develop, and it's interesting to take the time to develop, to let the ideas develop, right? But making video, it's like you just have to make something that seems to people will enjoy, that seems to make sense. It's too much effort. It takes me away from my main
creativity,
which is writing music for others to play, or writing something for myself to play, or glorifying the fadolin or whatever. So that kind of thing. So I'd rather focus on that.
I have close to 600 videos on YouTube, but I am not monetized yet because at the early stage of my sort of YouTube career, I put the music on, lots of music. For instance, me playing Shostakovich Viola Sonata. Now that is copyright claimed right now, so I have to take it off. My son just won Juilliard
I know. I
competition.
saw the Harbison. Yeah.
Yeah, so I, put that thing, on YouTube. That is copyright claimed. So it's very difficult for me to get copyright clean. I have to get rid of all these videos before.
Yeah,
So
it's sometimes weird. I remember. I think my I don't know if he was a classmate, but someone who was at Juilliard at the same time. There was a Benjamin Loeb, wonderful pianist. He got copyright claimed either on YouTube or Facebook for playing something that he himself recorded for a label, except he was playing it live, right?
I know.
So,
Yeah.
and say similar things have happened here and there, and it's just, and at the same time, I have friends who have invested their whole lives in like creating a portfolio on Facebook, right? And
Yeah.
then their profile was just taken down, wiped out because I don't know, somebody complained that it was something or other, So
I see.
it
I see.
takes I don't know how much
Yeah.
investing I really want to do in
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
So,
Hey, Lev,
mm,
can you see this thing?
I see this
It's
thing,
kind of really,
the thing on your neck. Yes,
can you see it?
not in detail, but what is it? Tell me.
Sorry, you need almost like a black background.
Now I can't. Oh, it's a viola clef. Yeah. Right.
You're the only one I showed because all the other guests, who cares?
Well, you've
Yeah,
had a bunch of violists. I saw Kate
yeah, but I
Kashkashian,
didn't
Carol
bother.
Wadland.
Huh? Kara,
Kate,
yeah, I didn't bother to ask them because
mm,
it's too tiny. Anyway, it's actually not that tiny. It's a white gold of autoclave. The story was like last Christmas, I think. My husband gave me a present. I opened it, and it's a treble clef. I was like, no, 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 no. We're not treble clef
no,
person. I am not treble clef. So
no.
then we have to go back to the jeweler and return that thing, and then draw this thing for the jeweler, and they made it for us. So that's really
Nice,
nice. Yeah,
beautiful. Well,
yeah,
that's wonderful. I don't know. We
yeah.
need to figure out with the fadolin. We don't really
So
have
what are you? What
we
are
don't have a
you?
clef. I use all three. I use bass clef for things that are kind of below viola range.
United cleft.
I use United Clef, Clef Nations.
That's
I use
good.
viola clef for things that are in the viola range, and I use treble clef for things that are in the treble range. My father
Yeah,
just wrote me a piece, actually, for
yeah.
Fadolin. It's called Fine Fantasy for Fadolin. I guess my
Oh,
first Fadolin commission.
yeah,
That is,
yeah.
and he wrote this wonderful piece, and
That's
it
wonderful.
uses all clefs.
Yeah. So, can you tell me a little bit about how you got into this project with Yo-Yo Ma, the Silk Road?
Sure. I believe it was in 2004, 2005. My wonderful cousin Johnny Gandelsman, who's a violinist and book and writer, and has released two incredible albums of Bach sonatas and partitas for fiddle and the suites for cello on violin and five-string violin. Amongst other things, he's a wonderful musician. So he was playing with the Silk Road Ensemble, and they were looking to program some Romanian gypsy music for their concert tour for string quartet and Wu Man on pipa.
Right, woman.
And so they knew that I was experienced in writing arrangements, and so they asked if I would be interested in transcribing and arranging some of this music. And also one of the pieces was this piece called Turciasca by the ensemble Tarafta Haiduks, just from outside Bucharest, from Romania. And they asked me if I would be kind of willing to assist Osvaldo Golihov on his arrangement, so I would write it out and Osvaldo would arrange it. And so, of course, I said yes. And the next thing that happened is I went to visit Woman in north of Boston, where she was living at the time, to learn all about the pipa. Hi, bye. Um, that's so, and she was able to show me the instrument and to show me all that it can do. Also went to the library and listened to her play a concerto, I believe a concerto by Zhou Long,
Joe
and
Long.
Zhou Long with a score, and and try to learn all about the pipa. I knew somewhat about the string quartet,
Mhm.
and so I wrote out some arrangements, and that's how my collaboration with Silk Road began. And so now it's been about 15 years. I've written for them, I would say probably dozens of arrangements over the years, and two original commissions. One of them, which they premiered, and there's a video on YouTube from their Harvard residency, and another one that they played on their tour, I believe, last year.
Mm.
And yeah, so it's been really, really wonderful to
Yeah,
learn from them, and
wonderful.
kind of they've been growing so much as a collective and as musicians, and they've expanded in so many directions, and they're all improvising these days, and I think making really wonderful and varied music.
Yeah, I think I interviewed Woman a few weeks ago. She's very interesting. To me, she's very interesting. I learned about her just by click on YouTube, learning. I want to learn Chinese instruments because I
Yeah.
teach in college. I actually taught in St. Joseph's College for 15 years.
Mm.
So I teach one 3 hour of Chinese music, plus jazz and plus just classical music appreciation. So anyway, so I learned from her. I learned about her on YouTube, and then a few weeks ago, I just like you know, I just wrote to her. I say, "Can you be my guest?" Because I always think she's very interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, she's
I have
fearless.
yes, yes.
And some years ago I was working on a film score, and I wrote I was doing a scene, and I wanted to use pipa, and I wrote to Wuman, um, and I said, Wuman, do you know any pipa players in New York? Can you recommend something? I don't know if I have a budget, but blah blah blah. She's like, what do you need? I'm in residence at a radio station in Alaska. Can you send it over in the next couple of hours? It was kind of like that.
That's nice.
So
That's nice.
she's
Yeah,
incredibly
she seems.
giving and
Yeah, she seems
wonderful
always
musician.
making interesting project. She tries to make the best of it. With the situation right now,
Yeah.
seems always making something. So I like that. So I want to tell you today, you are number 46 episode. So I've been doing this talk show since March 27th because I was stir crazy, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't see my friends. So I started to establish this conversation with my friends. Sometimes I talked with group people. Uh, uh, StreamYard used to be, they improved, that StreamYard
Mm,
used to be you can only have 6 people on the panel. Now you can have 10.
right.
Yes,
Right.
and used to be you should record, download the file right away, like within 7 days. Now they give you 15 days.
Cool.
It used to be just the 720 high definition. Now it can go on to 1080.
That's
But
great.
I think but I think you have to pay for it after a while. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, StreamYard is getting it. So yeah, so excuse me, dear. How is your life affected by the COVID?
I'm getting. I have a feeling that there are some things about it that I'm going to miss. If it ever goes away, if it changes. I think there are some things about it that I'm going to miss. I'm definitely going to miss be you know not leaving the house so much, and like being able to play a concert, or give an interview, 5 minutes after washing the dishes, And I played so many concerts in sweatpants and shorts, and I'm gonna miss that aspect of it for sure. It's been interesting, and inspiring. I don't know if positive or negative, but it's been inspiring in that um, it's led me down ways of making new music with my colleagues who are remote, and I've been writing some music for musicians to play together over Zoom, over Jack Trip, um, and kind of connected us in ways that are unexpected. Musicians who are not necessarily even in my neighborhood, right, but in different places. So it's opened up. Um, it almost kind of takes me back to the late 90s when I was in my dorm room at Juilliard sending tracks back and forth with artists on a site called mp3.com. And it's kind of brought me back to remote collaboration and not so much locally. At the same time, I've been trying, I've been missing, and of course, teaching lessons without having to leave the house. This week I'm working with a project with San Francisco Symphony while sitting here. So in that sense, it's been really nice just to be home, and my wife is, in the next room, and the kids are in the other room, and so we're all home, and to be home together and to be kind of close to each other. I'm definitely going to miss all of that.
Yeah.
At a lot, because it's a very precious time for us to all be together and watch movies together, share meals together, things like that.
Yeah.
At the same time, I went to teach a student for the first time. So we had these blackouts because of Hurricane Isaias. In the city, we had a little bit of a blackout on the Upper West Side, Upper East Side in Harlem for about an hour, but in suburban areas, there were quite a bunch of blackouts. And so as a result of all of this, people kind of shifted around. Oh, I don't have internet. Oh, I don't have electricity. Oh, I have internet. Oh, I have electricity. Okay, so people started reshuffling again in the middle of all of this COVID. People were, one person was in somebody's backyard and so forth. Another person was another person's backyard. My student came back to the city, and one of my students came back to the city, and I was able to give him a lesson. We were in a room with an open window. I was wearing a mask. He was at least 6 feet away, but at the same time, I was able to tune his instrument. I was able to show him this. I was able to show him that, which are things that you can't really, do as reliably on Zoom. So, and of course, I miss playing with my colleagues. Just a couple of days ago, for the first time, I was able to get out to Riverside Park and play with my longtime friend Ariana Rosen in Riverside Park. We just played some Balkan tunes, and I've been trying to, where in the beginning of all of this, I was, trying as much as possible to do things online and to create pieces online, go to Facebook Live or YouTube Live and try to find an audience virtually. Increasingly, I've been trying to play outside while the weather is nice. I've been playing. So I used to, before all of this happened, I used to lead a series at Symphony Space called Out of Leftovers. We would play all sorts of different music at the cafe and Symphony Space on Sundays at 5:30.
Oh.
The last one we played was on March 8th, and I believe Symphony Space shut down 1 or 2 days later.
Yeah.
And so, but we live a block away from Symphony Space, so I've been playing in front of Symphony Space, just by myself, just improvising and having.
I want to come.
You should come. It's kind of a. I was telling a colleague I've been playing in front of Symphony Space. He's like, man, you really. New York City really got to you, man. You really like them gritty venues. Because like right now, the front of Symphony Space is under scaffolding, and it's loud. There are trucks. There are, people going by, and there are a number of people who are, temporarily unsheltered, who are around. And there's kind of a weird vibe around Symphony Space. But for me, it's like this is a corner that would be COVID notwithstanding, this would be a corner where there would be music, where people would be gathering, where people would be going to a film or to a reading. And, you know, it's for me, it's kind of try to keep the faith alive for that corner, to play for all these people who are passing by it.
Right.
You know, now it's very silent, and soon hopefully it will open up again. So,
yeah. Yeah,
so
that sounds
to play
wonderful.
outside more and more while we can. I'm trying to think of what would be a way of continuing to play music.
The corner is on West?
Cold. The corner
West
is on
corner?
95th and Broadway.
95th Broadway on the west side.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll pay attention. I'll just
I'm usually there.
Just write on your Facebook,
6
say
o'clock or something. I don't even advertise it on Facebook because I mean I don't even know when I go. I try to go.
You're right.
You know, every few days at like 6 or 7.
Oh, good. Last
hour.
Sunday I was like stir crazy, so I said, "What am I going to do to myself today?" So I just took my electronic violin. I went to Central Park.
I saw your video in Central Park. Yeah, it's been, this is actually very
But I never
interesting.
practiced though. I sound probably not very good, but I just saw I'm practicing,
It's funny you mentioned this. I wrote a post about this a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I had, at some point, I had this idea that I was going to go play Bach in the park.
Yeah.
And I thought I would probably need an amp for that. And this was 25 years ago, I think, maybe 20 years ago. And I thought I was going to play Bach in the park. And so I went to Samash and I bought an amp and I bought a pickup for my viola. And I had, the guys at Samash install a pickup, and I was kind of a little scared because I never installed any electronics in my viola before, and it was, very new. And so I bought this pickup and I bought this amp, and when I got home, I tried to plug it in and listen to it, and it sounded pretty bad. It sounded really bad. It's it had this electronic sound, and the C string just sounded like this kind of bent out trombone that had a lot of water in it or something.
Yeah, I see.
It sounded terrible. And I thought, oh, geez, I just spent all this money on this instrument. It's on this pickup and the amp. What am I going to do with this? It sounds terrible. And, Bach would sound terrible on this. And so I thought, okay, this is bad. But then as I kept playing, it was really kind of inspiring. Okay, wow, my instrument sounds really different.
Yeah.
This is really cool. Okay, it doesn't sound like, a Bach-friendly instrument, but I can play all sorts of other things with it. So I ended up improvising things that took advantage of this more electronic sound. Right?
Yeah, I like it. I like my instrument because first of all, it's small. It's like a 14-inch. So I feel much comfortable because my viola is too big. I have a 5/8 size viola. It's too big. And then in the park, it's good to plug in. And I found a small, very small amplification, like very old, antique.
I saw it. Yeah, it looks like a really cool amp.
What I don't remember, Pigeon or something. I'll show it to. I'll write to you later because it's not around me. It's over there. I don't want to get up. So anyway, it's because I have 2 more different amplification, but you need to plug into electricity.
Yeah.
So that small one, I just put 6 batteries, 8 batteries.
Nice.
Yeah. So we have to end pretty soon. I have one burning question. It's about a very kind of private. How did you meet your wife?
Well, it's actually connected to how I started arranging Romanian gypsy music for the Silk Road Ensemble. Through working on that, somebody, a mutual friend of ours, bassist named Travis Derutza, sent an email saying that he was playing with this gypsy music ensemble in the East Village, and he said, I'm playing on Tuesday, I'm playing this klezmer thing, and on Friday I'm playing with this gypsy band Romashka. Come drink, come dance, come fall in love. But I couldn't because I had another engagement or a gig or something. I don't remember. This was now a bunch of years ago.
Long time ago.
And well, I mean, last week we celebrated our 13th anniversary.
Wow! Congratulations.
Our wedding, so it must have been about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I did not go to that Come Drink, Come Dance, Come Fall in Love performance, but I signed up for the mailing list and ended up going to their next 3 performances because, again, I was arranging Romanian gypsy music. I'd never heard it live, and I really wanted to, and I really wanted to see what kind of like kids my age were doing with it in New York, and it was a wonderful, interesting experience to hear them. And they were looking for a violinist to sub with them that summer, and I was like, I play viola, but maybe I can learn. Maybe I'll borrow a violin or something. And so, I ended up playing with them and learning with them and writing for them. I wrote a film score that's the first, I think, 14 or 13 tracks of my album Lost in Kino feature this band. Romashka is part of a film score that I wrote for a Russian film called Black Lamb.
So your wife is a singer?
My wife is a singer, yes. My wife is.
But she also has a day job.
She does have a day job.
She's what? She's a lawyer?
She's a lawyer.
Oh my God! Holy lawyer!
Yes. When she sings, it pleases the court.
Good for you. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I see some of your stuff. You and her did songs, and so I'm very moved. Like you did a live performance on YouTube, on Facebook sometimes.
Yeah.
A month ago or something. Yeah.
Yeah, we've done a couple of concerts since March.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, dear. I have another engagement. By the way, I'm going to be interviewed by some film critic about my 2 of my short films. The subject is about Black Lives Matter. It's going to shown on Friday, 7 p.m. at the Socially Relevant Film Festival. And for those of you, if you don't remember that, you can just go on to Ching Juhl Facebook me. You'll see lots of posts. So anyway, and today 5:30 is someone is interviewing me and another filmmaker. So anyway, let's do a quick what do you call, rapid fire.
All right.
Has to be really rapid. Yeah, presto. All right, ready. What are you craving for as food wise right now?
Pumpernickel bagels are always good.
Okay, happy hour. What would you order?
Seltzer.
Seltzer? Are you serious? You don't.
I basically don't drink.
Really?
No.
Oh, that's why you're so clear-headed. You're not getting into trouble.
This is clear-headed? Okay.
That's funny. Awesome. All right. What else? If you had a choice, what city in the world you would like to? What cities, like you would like to live? Like say, 3 month, 4 month here, and 4 month here, and 4 month here. Like 4 cities.
I mean,
if you had a choice.
I think New York is the greatest city in the world. We're going through a difficult time right now, but I think this is going to be an incredible, it's an incredibly resilient place that always rises up and faces the challenge. And I think this is going to be no different. It's going to be harder for sure, but we're going to make it back. And I love New York City. I enjoy Los Angeles. I love going there, every February or March when New York weather is particularly not pleasant. I love going to Los Angeles. I love San Francisco for a few hours or days at a time. Berlin and Moscow are also sensible alternatives. So.
Yeah. What's your favorite color?
Purple.
Purple. Ice cream flavor.
Sorbet, whatever they have.
If you win lottery tomorrow, what do you do? What would you do?
Same thing.
Boring.
Trust me. I mean, I've asked myself the same question. If I won a lottery tomorrow, what would I do? And The real thing is like, okay, if I won the lottery tomorrow, what would I do? I would do the exact same thing. Because if I didn't win the lottery, why am I still not doing the thing that I would if I did win the lottery?
Yeah, yeah, that's
I would
great.
be doing the same thing. I would still be writing music. I would still be trying to practice, and try to, play and have an impact in the community.
Hmm.
Still be doing the exact same thing.
Which book do you read last? Give me a score.
No. I started reading. I started reading *The Power Broker* by Robert Caro, which is about Robert Moses,
Oh,
who planned New York City highways and New York City parks, and it's this immense, 1,200-page volume about the history
wow.
of New York City and infrastructure and so on. So
Yeah.
it's been a good summer to read that.
That's great. All right. How about if you can have lunch with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be?
I don't know. Right
Me?
now, I'll make this easy for myself. I'll make this very easy for myself. I haven't seen my parents in real life for a few months, and I would love to see them more than anything. Love to see them in the flesh. They're right now in Moscow, and it's been a long time that we're daily together on Skype. But it's not the same, and I really wish I could see them and touch them and hug them. And it's going to be, who knows how long it's going to be until that.
Yeah.
Right now. So we're all kind of struggling with that.
Yeah. Are you the only child?
I am.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah. Bravo. You speak Russian fluently?
I do.
Wonderful. Okay, last one. Tea or coffee? I know that.
Tea and coffee. There you go. Tea and coffee.
Oh, you have all.
Coffee twice a day, tea all the rest of the time.
Yeah. So we thank our audience for watching, and please subscribe Juhl Media YouTube channel, and you too, Lev, subscribe.
I will right now.
Yeah. I have already 4,600 subscribers, but I'm still not monetized. So I don't care. I will just continue doing my work, and so it's not because the monetizing situation. But anyway, thank you so much, and watch some of my short documentary. Maybe I'll send it to you.
Please.
I'll send you some of my
great.
favorite documentary. Yeah, and maybe we can, maybe one day I can make a documentary for you. So
Wonderful. Thank you.
yeah,
Wonderful
and
filmmaker.
thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank
and
you for taking the time.
Yeah. So be safe, and then take care.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Be safe. And congratulations to Sean on winning the concerto competition, and to you on the film premiere. And I hope to see it, and I look forward to seeing it this Friday.
Thank you, love. Thank you. Okay.